Yes, Apple's iPhone 17 range won't launch until much later this year, but enough speculations have arisen to form something of an image of the phone to come. Add in easy-to-predict upgrades like a new chipset, and you can already sketch some of the possible improvements over the existing Pro Max offering. Certainly, Apple will have to do a lot to improve upon the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's not just the finest iPhone available right now, it just slightly loses out on being the best phone overall based on our tests. We give the nod to the Galaxy S25 Ultra these days. Besides the powerful performance and epic battery life, the iPhone 16 Pro Max also shoots great photographs, owing to a superb camera configuration. And like other versions in the iPhone 16 series, it supports the newest Apple Intelligence capabilities. We should anticipate a new processor powering the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which might provide improvements to both performance and battery life. Rumors are also pointing toward new cameras for the Pro Max model. Meanwhile, Apple might be exploring a potential makeover that would radically modify the appearance of the phone compared to prior iPhones. Here's a deeper look at how the iPhone 17 Pro Max versus iPhone 16 Pro Max matchup is shaping out at the moment, based on everything we've heard so far about Apple's iPhone plans. Price and availability. The iPhone 16 Pro Max begins at $1,199, making it the most costly model in Apple's portfolio. That pricing matches the cost of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which launched with a $100 price rise from its predecessor. Ideally, the iPhone 17 Pro Max would cost the same as the iPhone 16 Pro Max, too, but that may not be the case. An early iPhone pricing rumor indicates iPhone 17 prices might be on the increase. However, the report doesn't specify by how much or which models would be impacted. There are two reasons to not stress about a future rise. For instance, we're still months ahead of an iPhone 17 launch, and price information really doesn't come into focus until right before the phones arrive. Secondly, if Apple does issue an iPhone 17 Air, as has been widely predicted, some speculations say the phone would cost more than the Pro Max. If true, it would appear to place a ceiling on how much Apple might charge for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Availability for Apple's new phones is a little bit more obvious. The iPhone 16 Pro Max arrived with the rest of the iPhone 16 series back in September, Apple's preferred month for unveiling new phones. Barring any big shakeup, you may pencil in a hypothetical iPhone 17 release for September 2025. Design and display. While the iPhone 16 Pro Max resembled its predecessor in the widest sense of the term, it did feature a rather substantial difference, a bigger display. The 6.9-inch screen meant the iPhone 16 Pro Max was bigger, broader, and heavier than the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which boasted a 6.7-inch display. Otherwise, the iPhone 16 Pro Max was clearly identifiable as an Apple phone, with a dynamic island feature holding the front camera and Face ID sensors up front and a triangle camera array on the rear of the smartphone. The style of the iPhone 17 Pro Max might shake things up fairly significantly if speculations regarding Apple's design ambitions prove right. The bigger 6.9-inch screen size is likely to remain, but the rear of the phone might sport a horizontal camera strip that runs across the handset, much resembling Google's latest Pixel flagships. That assertion is based on a leaked picture that reportedly shows off the iPhone 17 Pro Max's frame. Subsequent renderings have showed other probable designs for the iPhone 17 Pro Max's camera array. In certain variants, the back lenses extend over the length of the phone, but in other versions, the camera lenses are grouped in their regular triangular array with additional sensors on the other end of the phone. As for the iPhone 17 Pro Max's frame, there's considerable disagreement as to whether Apple will continue to employ titanium for the frames of its Pro phones or move to aluminum as a cost-saving strategy. Given how Apple advertised the transition to titanium a few years ago, we don't believe the notion that the phone manufacturer would shift course so swiftly, but it's something to keep in mind. While the iPhone 17 Pro Max's display size is anticipated to match the iPhone 16 Pro Max, there might be another display tweak in the works. Dimensions might fluctuate between the iPhone 17 Pro Max and iPhone 16 Pro Max, even if the screen maintains the same size. One rumor sees the forthcoming phone being thicker 8.725mm opposed to 8.25mm for the iPhone 16 Pro Max in order to accommodate a larger battery. Other elements of the iPhone 17 Pro Max might shrink. One rumor indicates the new phone would feature a smaller dynamic island area than prior versions. Cameras. The iPhone 16 Pro Max received a pair of substantial enhancements to its camera arrangement, acquiring a new 48MP Fusion camera as well as a 48 megapixels ultra-wide lens. The Fusion camera operated quicker than its predecessor, resulting in faster focus and no shutter lag. The ultra-wide camera offers better resolution than the 12 megapixels sensor Apple previously employed. Expect those features to return on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, with another probable tweak coming the third rear camera on the future phone. Rumors indicate Apple will unveil a 48 megapixels telephoto camera, an increase from 12 megapixels, sensor that the iPhone 16 Pro Max utilizes for its zoom lens. There's no indication on whether that camera would improve the zoom length from the 5x optical zoom that the present iPhone delivers. There's also speculation of at least one of Apple's Pro models incorporating a variable aperture that photographers may manage using a mechanical mechanism. This update would allow you better control over the depth of field in your images. Apple might also look to software upgrades to distinguish the iPhone 17 Pro camera's unique. Specifically, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman claims that both the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max might see enhancements to video recording in an appeal to content makers still utilizing independent cameras. One additional camera rumor would affect all iPhone 17 models, since the true depth camera up front might receive an upgrade this autumn. One expert says the new phones would sport a 24 megapixels camera compared to the 12 megapixels lens used by existing iPhones. Performance. Since new iPhones typically to have improved silicon, we're anticipating the iPhone 17 series to sport new A19 chipsets. In the case of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, it presumably signifies an A19 Pro system on chip. It's unclear at this time to predict what type of performance enhancements an A19 processor would bring compared to the A18 Pro powering the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Initial reports stated the A19 may be manufactured using a 2nm technology, meaning its transistors would be packed closer together than the 3nm A18 system on chip. That generally leads to higher performance and decreased power usage. However, recent sources have stated that the A19 will likewise be a 3nm system on chip. The iPhone 17 Pro Max might benefit from one speculated upgrade compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Apple is anticipated to boost the RAM in its next phones with an eye on helping enhance artificial intelligence capabilities. That would indicate 12 gigs of RAM in the iPhone 17 Pro Max compared to 8 gigs in the current model. Added to this is the rumor that the iPhone 17 Pro series would both receive vapor chamber cooling. This implies that both phones will be able to manage a large processing load without overheating, suggesting performance might receive a huge boost. Battery life and charging. Here's where the iPhone 17 Pro Max could have a hard time improving on the bar established by the iPhone 16 Pro Max, since the current model recorded the greatest time of any iPhone we've ever put through our proprietary battery test. The A18 Pro chipset helped the iPhone 16 Pro Max place on the top phone battery life list, but the latest model also profited from a bigger battery than its predecessor. If the report regarding a thicker iPhone 17 Pro Max is accurate, that may signal Apple is turning to a larger battery for its upcoming phone as well, but we haven't heard any speculation on exact battery sizes. One change we expect to see with the iPhone 17 Pro Max is an increase to charging speeds. The iPhone 16 Pro Max continues to offer 30-watt cable charging, although other phones have embraced far quicker rates. Software and special features. By the time the iPhone 17 Pro Max appears, Apple will have unveiled iOS 19. Of course, the same software upgrade will be accessible to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, so there's likely to be little difference in the functions both phones support. We'll likely know out more about iOS 19 in the summer when Apple conducts its annual developers conference and unveils this year's software improvements. But the early word about iOS 19 is that it's concentrating on a new appearance for Apple's iPhone software, with some people predicting it would be the most significant revamp since iOS 7 released a dozen years ago. Apple Intelligence also seems to be a big emphasis of Apple's software upgrades for the iPhone 17 series, but we'd anticipate most enhancements to also arrive to the iPhone 16 via software update. The greatest change right now would be a redesigned version of Siri. Apple is putting back some of the expected Siri upgrades from iOS 18, with some speculations indicating that Siri may not become more conversational and aware of context until 2026. In conclusion, assuming a September 2025 debut for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, we've got another 6 months for further rumors to surface. That should offer a better image on what type of upgrades to anticipate from an iPhone 17 Pro Max versus iPhone 16 Pro Max comparison. So, what do you think about this competition? Which phone are you more excited about? Let us know in the comments below. Then I will see you in my next video.